This is Joe Smith from the Midwest Football Podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It all helps us grow our show. Look for our full show, too, anywhere you find podcasts. Links below.
Myles Murphy was a real tendency breaker for the Bengals because they do tend to go so need heavy in the early picks, at least in this current regime. And Myles Murphy, edge rusher, really wasn't a big need for this Bengals team. So it might have been just a case where they had him so high on their draft board that they couldn't resist. But what did they not do? Like Minnesota, they didn't address the offensive line. What did we talk about more than anything else in the preview episodes for the offseason this draft? Keeping Joe Burrow upright.
Agreed, exactly. And I just thought that was interesting because to me, that's kind of the difference between what Chicago and Pittsburgh did is they're trying to keep their young quarterbacks alive, where Cincinnati and Minnesota were like, meh, don't worry about it. You get rid of the ball faster. And then Cincinnati, I think they're trying to keep up with the Joneses in the AFC with the defense. I mean, they drafted DJ Turner out of Michigan, who I like. I thought he was a pretty good pickup in the second round. And then they got the other cornerback, Jordan Battle from Alabama, who is not nearly on the same par as Branch was for the Lions. And it's okay, but they added three defensive players in the first three rounds, and I guess that's what they really want is they want to slow down Mahomes and Josh Allen. One of the most intriguing picks they have was fifth round Chase Brown out of running back out of Illinois because they have nothing else behind Mixon right now. He might be the breakout fantasy sleeper star of this year because he might just be fed volume.
And they did draft a punter for those of you with punter fantasy leagues, Brad Robbins out of the University of Michigan. He can boom them. So maybe they're going to help out their defense that way too. They just really seem committed with this draft class to that slow down style that we've seen out of them for the last couple years that is so unusual for a team with a elite level quarterback that's not trying to rack up the offensive plays. Maybe they're just going to try and win first to 24 instead of first to 31.
Do you have any strong takes on the two receivers they took? They took Charlie Jones out of Purdue in the fourth round and Andre, I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name, out of Princeton. But I think some people have said good things about Charlie Jones. He wasn't really on my radar.
Yeah, no disrespect intended to Isovius, but I don't watch a whole lot of Princeton football games. That being said, I do think that Charlie Jones has some upside potential. I don't think he's going to be a Pro Bowler, but for a mid-round pick, he could develop into a starter in the right situation.
Now, do you think they might have picked him up as a T. Higgins or a Tyler Boyd heir apparent?
I do feel like he's one of those guys that had all kinds of production at Purdue, but he's not the greatest quickness. He's got the straight line speed, but not the quickness. So he may have hard time separating from off man or man press in the NFL.
So he might be more of a field stretcher role that complement Jamar Chase or a T. Higgins than a replacement for a slot receiver like Tyler Boyd. So that makes sense.
Yeah, probably the kind of guy that you send out to do 40 wind sprints a game because he runs incredibly fast in a perfectly straight line.
And then you can just throw the ball to T. Higgins or, Jamar Chase underneath. That makes sense. And I don't think they did anything to address the tight end position. So that'll be interesting to see if they get anything off the scrap heap for the fantasy players who want, Joe Burrow's target at tight end.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if you look at it, they really need, there's the opposite of Detroit. They need a blocking tight end because that offense needs as much. They don't need more targets. They need to keep Joe Burrow in one piece, or else there's going to be a point in some game where there's two defensive ends for the other team jumping up and down in celebration 5 yards apart, each holding part of Joe Burrow's body.